Welcome back, this is CerealSnax. Today I'm looking at a game called The Secret World. I got into the open beta this weekend, and I'm naming my character right now, nickname CerealSnax, and loading it up. Now this game has a lot of cutscenes, so you may not hear me talking for a few minutes while the cutscenes are going on. I want you to get a chance to see them. And I'll continue to explain the game once I'm actually running around, so enjoy.
Attack on the headquarters of the multinational Arachi Group. It's been over a week since the first reports of widespread destruction in this now abandoned commercial district of Tokyo. We join our Asian correspondents to ask, just what is the Japanese government hiding, and why?
Okay, so pretty cool cutscene. They've done a lot of great work with the cutscenes in this game. I'm pretty impressed. You know, a lot of people talk about Star Wars The Old Republic as being kind of the leader in story, but so far, Funcom's really impressed me with their little cutscenes that they do for your story. And now we're loading up into the actual game. So, you start out in your respective city. In this case, I'm a dragon character. And so I'm starting out in Seoul. And you can see you can see my character. I didn't talk about him yet, but he's got a little kind of combat vest on and sunglasses and a yellow mohawk, so he's pretty wild. And if you saw my last video on character creation, there's quite a bit you can do with the character creator. It's pretty neat. So, you know, it's fairly robust, but it's not as robust as, say, like City of Heroes, but good enough for me. I enjoy making it. Of course, you can only play humans, so that's kind of a interesting thing, but I think after playing a bit of this game, that isn't as important to me because there's a lot of other features to this game that make it pretty impressive. So this first quest, I have to follow these butterfly down the street. And one thing about this game is that there is a lot of story before you actually get into the game or even see any other players. Right now I'm in my own like story instance and just doing my story quests to start out, kind of giving you an introduction to the game. And I will say that even though they give you an introduction to the game, it still was not very clear to me.
It's in here somewhere. I've seen it. I've seen. Are you familiar with the butterfly effect? It asserts that just a tiny change in initial conditions can dramatically change the long-term behavior of a system. Like a butterfly's wings affecting the weather system, turning a light breeze into a tsunami. Most people take this to mean there's no way to predict or find patterns in a system so easily affected by tiny, random, seemingly insignificant events. But chaos theory is not about chaos. It's about order. It's about finding the underlying order in apparently random data. In chaos. In other words, chaos isn't. Chaos isn't. There's always order. Always. That order is what the dragon chases relentlessly. What they're doing is experimentation. They are testing the systems. They breeding butterflies so that they can discern the patterns. The more random data they introduce to the system, the more data they get back. They're creating a model of the universe, one tsunami at a time. But this is a controlled experiment. So the dragon ensures that with every tiny random change, they remain in complete control. They are ruthless planners. And what they're doing, what they're planning, is acts of... In a way, they are terrorists. Except their acts of terror are small, seemingly without consequence. They don't blow up buildings or planes. They don't murder the innocent. They don't have a doctrine. What they are doing is a lot more subtle, a lot more effective. They now have enough data in their models now to predict causality, at least to some degree. They put you somewhere, they have a good idea what's going to happen. That's what it's all about. Why you've been brought here to Seoul. I'm sure you're asking yourself, why me? Why now? It doesn't matter. The only thing that matters now is that you've been brought here because they want you here. They need you here. Everything from the moment they visited you until this conversation, it may seem like a series of coincidences, random events. Carefully planned. Part of a model they've designed. Part of a system. It's an experiment, don't you see? Everything has a purpose. Everything is true. Sooner or later, they all go upstairs.
Alright, so as you can see, there's a lot of cutscenes in this game, and I like that. I find it hard for myself, and I'm going to talk to this guy again here real quick. You have all these options that you can talk to each person, and of course they'll respond to you here, and I'm not going to listen to them because it's a lot of talking. People like me who, just like to accept the quest in World of Warcraft and not really read them, it's hard for me to actually listen to somebody talking, but that could just be my limited patience, and I'm sure there's some people out there who really enjoy this cutscene stuff. I will admit that Star Wars: The Old Republic, I listened to a few of the cutscenes in the beginning, and then I stopped, so I'll be back shortly.
You're shy. Shy, confused, lost. You're not lost anymore. The dragon found you. And now, you found me. Everything happens for a reason. Every event, no matter how small, has consequences. They will ask you to do things, and most of the time, you will not know why, or what the consequences may be. It is the curse of the dragon. We do not know why we do what we do, but we do it, regardless, because they tell us it is right. From chaos, there is order. Order and clarity. The one moment of absolute clarity comes in that brief exhalation of ecstasy. When our minds are empty, we are receptive to the truth. Most of the time, you will not understand the reasons. You will not be able to see the consequences of your actions. But there is one event you must understand. One truth. It's my job to help you see it.
Kaidencho, everything. From the park to Arachi Tower.
SDF quarantine. Good news for Tokyo, bad news for us.
I thought the dragon thrived on chaos.
Someone once told me the Illuminati had all the answers.
They're saying a bomb. It's never just a bomb.
Something worse. Something that brought the filth with it.
So we fight. That's what us Templars do.
I enjoy a good fight, it's just these trousers are bloody velvet.
Sarah! Thank Gaia! Are you okay?
This is CerealSnax, and I'm back, and I'm back into my story mode here. And you can see we're being attacked, or something's going on. And the quests are neat. They pop up and they tell you whether they're hard, normal, easy, etc. And the other thing about quests that are neat, and you kind of see it in this scenario, but you can see at the bottom it said Tier 1. So the first part of the quest is to just grab this gun here. So, Tier 1 of 2, so there's 2 tiers on this quest. You can see on the top right, there's like a little quest log that you can see. Overcome the filth. And the filth are one of the mobs that you see in this game, a pretty common mob, I believe. And they're almost like zombies, kind of, except they have like worms on their head. You can see the worms around the room here. Pretty neat attention to detail that Funcom has done. So, these 3 characters that I'm with are some of the main protagonists in the game's storyline, the main storyline. These 2 women and this man. And I'm actually supposed to be a woman in this memory that I'm playing in. And I'm not sure if this is the secret world or what this exactly is. And that's one thing you'll notice about my commentary about this game is a lot of this, I don't totally understand what the heck's going on or what the story is. But that's something that's familiar to me with Funcom, because playing games like The Longest Journey and Anarchy Online, I never really understood what the heck was going on in those games either. So that may be just my own misunderstanding of the story, or that may just be the way Funcom tells stories. But I don't dislike that. In a way, I kind of like it because it makes you feel like you're actually there, because in real life a lot of times you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and Funcom does a really good job of not slapping you across the face with the story. They make it very vague and subtle, and I think it's well done. Now you can see at the bottom here I've got my 2 skills that I'm currently using. I'm wielding a shotgun. I've got a normal blast kind of thing, and then I've also got a powder charge which shoots off a... I'm just messing with the helps. These help menus get in your way and there's no way to get rid of them. So right now I'm just getting, there's these filth jumping out, and you can see they target like many other MMORPGs. They got the little red circle underneath them, and you just kind of hit your button and attack. And what it does on the bottom right here is it builds up my, what they call, I believe it's called charges. And then once you get those charges, you get another special attack. I don't have that special attack yet. So right now we're in a subway. I like that they've done with a modern kind of, you'll see it later on, but they've mixed modern day, kind of like almost like a Shadowrun kind of feel, into like a real supernatural kind of feel. Of course, Shadowrun had supernatural as well, but this almost reminds me of one of those pen and paper RPGs made by the same guys who made Rifts. I don't know what it was called, but I think it was something of the supernatural. And in that game, it was regular humans fighting against all these supernatural threats that were around them. It also has, it also reminds me a lot of Vampire Bloodlines, and it also reminds me of Vampire the Masquerade. It also reminds me of, Anarchy Online to some extent, but it's made by the same company, so that makes sense. And now you can see I've got my third attack here, which is a spread fire kind of thing that actually hinders their movement, so it's almost like a snare. I'm going to shoot that off here real quick. There it goes, and it flames, and it kind of stops the enemy from moving. Now this is all a memory, so I haven't chosen a class or anything like that, and in fact I'll show you as time goes on here, but there is no class in this game. You can't pick a class. So, and another thing that's really interesting about it is there's no levels either. So you never level up, you never get a class. Now, with that said, there are templates that you can follow that will allow you to become a class, more or less, the more skills that you acquire. So you do get experience, and that experience allows you to unlock skill points, which then allows you to unlock new abilities, which then can fit into the mold of a template. If you're still unused to the classless, levelless kind of playstyle, then that template helps you develop who you're going to be. And if you do fit into that template, you actually do get special abilities. So before I talk more about that, you can see I'm fighting like a boss creature right here. He's a bigger, I think it's called it's a filthy mass, this huge giant creature. And I'm not too good at fighting. You can see he's charging up his power attack, and there finally I got out of the way that time. The first couple times he just knocked me over and I wasn't paying attention. So that was one of the tiers of this quest, was to kill that creature. The next one is to cross these railroad tracks. Like I was saying, it's a classless, level-less game, and for people like me who have been playing MMOs for a long time, that's a hard concept to kind of grasp. The whole fact that you can almost pick your skills, whatever you want to do, you can just pick it. It almost is reminiscent of games like Skyrim and Fallout from Bethesda, because they allow you to do that with your characters. I mean, they have levels, but they also let you kind of pick whatever you want to do. And that's a neat concept in this game. So this scenario that I'm following is actually kind of more of a quest. We're just doing quests. And it's like a tutorial. So it's giving you an idea of what the future game is going to be like. And this is really critical to the story, a lot of this fighting these filth and hanging out with these three people. And they're Templar, and I'm actually a dragon. So let me talk a little bit about the factions while we're kind of standing around in this game. There's the three factions. There's the Dragon, the Illuminati, and the Templar. And of course, it's funny because in the beginning of the game it says, these factions are in no way related to real life people or events, which is kind of funny because they call them Illuminati, Templar, and Dragons. I almost wonder if they called them Dragons instead of like Yakuza or something, because they were really afraid of offending somebody out there. But regardless, those three are kind of like that. There are no real good guys. You may think that the Templar are the good guys, but I'm quickly finding out that they are the good guys, but only in their definition of what is good and what is evil. So they're reminiscent of the Scarlet Crusade of World of Warcraft, if you're familiar with that. That kind of, we redefine what's good and evil and go by that. The Illuminati, I guess, of all of them are probably the worst, I guess, by our modern day definition, I guess, because they covet money and power over all things. And although I don't know if that's really a bad thing, but compared to the other two, their goals seem to be more greedy than the Dragon and the Templar, at least in my mind. So, but I'm sure everybody's got their opinion of which one's the worst. Some people may think the Dragon are the worst because they're the most upfront, violent, I guess, of the three. And so there you go. There you have it.
The gate's
So I'm continuing to fight these filth, and as you can see, it's really just a very linear path, very scripted, this part.
They're not stopping.
And this isn't very reminiscent of what the game's actually gets to be like as it goes on further. So don't let this sway kind of your thoughts on the game. You know, keep watching. This is more of a,
Someone?
I'm kind of commenting on the game and kind of the mechanics of it, but it's also kind of a let's play because I plan on playing it for as long as I can before this open beta weekend is over, and posting as many videos as I can of a let's play. So if you're interested in watching it for the longevity and the long-term play, then you probably have to just deal with my commentary on the mechanics and reviewing the game as I go, because it's kind of more my style. So, you know, I'm getting out of this subway.
Look out! It's all coming down!
The whole goal really was to get out of the subway, and that's it. And then you have to enter this last platform. And again, they've been saying a lot of conversation while I've been talking, but none of it, in my opinion, was very important to the story. It was a lot of run here, run there, oh god, watch out. And I'm completely confused as to what this means, this platform and this, like, the outer space showing. So this is the beginning of another cutscene, so I will leave it here and I will see you in a few. So enjoy.
You must leave now. They are asking for you. I'm sorry you had to see. I'm sorry.
Thanks for joining me in my first episode of playing The Secret World from Funcom. I'm going to mix these episodes with commentary and also some Let's Play kind of stuff. So it's kind of both explaining the mechanics and how to play the game, but also kind of learning on my part and a Let's Play on my part because I haven't been through a lot of it either. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you come back for the next episode.